Hello, it's Retro Martin here with the third part of SEGA on the Nintendo GameCube. Another 6 chosen classics for the console for you to peruse through and see what you're missing. Or not, if you actually played them, of course. Let's dive in and see what I have for you today. We start with an arcade conversion that went to the Dreamcast first with 18 Wheeler, a racing game with parking sections to it. 18 Wheeler would go on to receive a PS2 port and then a GameCube port later on. 18 Wheeler seems to be a typical time-based racing game with you needing to reach a certain point before the time limit runs out, but you also have to try and beat your rival, the trucker known as Lizard Tail, because the game just wouldn't be as fun if you were having to race against someone called Dave now, would it?
Go! Good morning, New York. 1112 KRWA, Super Express Travelers Network. Here's our first song to wake you up. Here we go.
We truckers are considered real professionals by making our deliveries on time. So hurry up and become a full professional, you hear?
The entire point of 18 Wheeler is to enjoy a little small slice of racing across the lands of America and beating Lizard Tail to the finish to accrue more money for upgrades. At the end of each stage you can take part in a mini-game where you have to park your truck in one of several ways to earn more money. It helps break up the racing somewhat, though it can be quite fiendish in later stages due to the small reverse turning circles and tight spaces. There isn't much more to say about the game. It plays well, it's a bit of a change of pace from racing in a car, and with Lizard Tail constantly mocking you, it gives you the drive to continue beating him.
Go! You did it! You got the horn!
One of the main issues of the game is the rubber banding. Even if you play incredibly well, Lizard Tail will be right on your backside and overtake you constantly. It gets quite annoying that skill alone isn't enough in this game. Your choice of trailer can make your life harder also, but keeping your trailer from being hit will retain more money. So the game definitely gives you a risk-reward system though. It does make it quite difficult in either case, with sometimes you just not being able to catch Lizard Tail and having to be content with just reaching the end. 18 Wheeler isn't a stellar game, but it plays well enough and works for what it is.
So this doesn't happen to you too. There's a traffic jam, and it's all your fault!
Get down! Faster, faster! You're running out of time! Hurry up! Time is up!
Hot off the heels of directing and producing Daytona USA 2001 for the Dreamcast and producing Spiker's Battle in the arcade, Toshiro Nagoshi, famously known for being the driving force behind the Like a Dragon series, was put in charge of creating a fun little arcade game by the name of Monkey Ball before a home port was also created. Super Monkey Ball on the GameCube was a launch day release, follow-up to the arcade original, that put your monkeys, yes in balls, and had you rolling them around a course avoiding obstacles, picking up bananas and reaching the goal in a time limit. The levels are colourful, the sound effects are hyper, and the game really works in either short bursts or longer sets of play.
Go!
split into 3 modes: beginner, advanced and expert, each with a different number of courses and added difficulty between each. Falling off the course or running out of time loses you a life, though you can continue as many times as you want upon losing all your lives. However, this resets your score to 0. As you play, you will earn points, which are used to unlock mini-games. More on that later. There are 4 characters to choose from, with Ai, Mimi, Baby, and brand new character Gongon, all handling slightly differently. The bananas on each stage all feature the Dole logo as a nice little tie-in, and collecting 100 of them gives you an extra life. If you complete certain difficulties without losing lives, or continue as an expert, you get some extra stages, and beyond that, even more for beating the high scores. There's also an unlockable master difficulty.
Ready? Go! Ready? Go!
The game also has some party games available. Monkey Race, which is a simple weapon-based racer, Monkey Fight, which is a knock your opponent off the stage style tournament, and Monkey Target, where you spiral off a ramp and try to fly towards targets and land on them to earn points. They're quite good fun, and an expanded set would land on the sequel, which I went over in my previous video on the subject. Link in the description, of course. On top of that is some mini-games to unlock, which require 2,500 play points each. It's a shame how long it takes to unlock, but with the sequel now available, most of these can be instantly played on that. But here we have Monkey Billiards, Monkey Bowling and Monkey Golf, which are all quite self-explanatory, and they are great fun. All these party games and mini-games have multiplayer available as well, to really give you some couch co-op fun.
Ready? Go!
Super Monkey Ball is a great fun game, only marred by the difficulty of its controls and the camera wanting to face a certain way. It can be quite frustrating at times when you completely lose control of your monkey, and you resign yourself to falling long before you've gone off the stage due to the trajectory of where you're going. But with the extra modes and swift stage-style gameplay, there's plenty on offer here, and whilst its sequel improves on it in a lot of ways, back when it came out there was very little like Monkey Ball. All the Wii Sports diehards who loved Wii Bowling owe SEGA a debt when it comes to that game mode. A fun fact, this was the very first SEGA game published for a Nintendo home console after they came out of the console race.
Ready? Go!
Will Sonic Team's originality never end? Their first original new IP on the GameCube is of course cut from the same cloth as their contemporaries. Like Nights Before It, Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg is at its heart a score attack with several mechanics feeding into that, wrapped over a charming game about having to rid the darkness from some nasty little crow people using the power of the chicken suit to roll eggs. Yeah, it sounds about as balmy as it actually is.
Let's go! Woo!
3D platformer, Billy Hatcher has you controlling the eponymous youngster as he makes his way through several stages, each with several challenge tasks to complete as you roll eggs around, crushing enemies and picking up fruit to make the eggs bigger, and using the skills at your disposal to get around the stages without breaking the egg. The fun comes in deciding whether to continue using your powered up egg, or whether to call it and hatch what is inside. Depending on what mission you're doing, or what you want to achieve, will determine what you do. There are special eggs dotted throughout the game referencing other Sonic Team characters such as Knights or Sonic himself also. Each zone ends with the usual score tally, and this is where the score attack mechanics come into play. Things like attack combos and how well you raised your egg all feed in and will lead to you wanting to go back to score more. There are some great boss encounters that don't handhold and make you watch and observe their attack patterns before moving in to hurt them as well. The controls can be a little finicky, especially on the stick after you've jumped through some hoops, shooting you elsewhere, or rolling off a ramp when pushing an egg, which can make you believe you're moving one way but you don't. And like every other 3D action game of the era, the camera wants to do its own thing quite a lot, but this doesn't stop Billy Hatcher from being a great little game. The game also features linking with the Game Boy Advance to load up some simple games such as Knights and Choo Choo Rocket. Unfortunately for Billy, low sales and a mildly good reception have relegated him to cameos in other Sonic titles, which is a shame as Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg is a unique game with loads of personality and plenty to do. Definitely a worthwhile one to have on the shelf. We've just passed the midpoint, so a pick-me-up is needed, and what a game for our fourth choice. Skies of Arcadia Legends is another GameCube-enhanced port of a Dreamcast original. This one is a mixed bag depending on what you're looking for in a game, and I'll lead with the reasoning on that one. Skies of Arcadia, when ported to the GameCube, had some interesting concessions on its sound due to the way it was programmed, leading to very tinny music and sound effects. If that doesn't bother you, then I can absolutely recommend this as a better game due to all the extra content and narrative around one of the antagonists, which make it worth playing over its DC original. Skies of Arcadia itself is a typical RPG of the era, with nice big character models and very colourful locales. The core cast of Vise, Ica and Fina are great, and there are 3 additional characters to rotate in the 4th party slot. Taking place in a world where ships fly in the sky and pirates roam around, an evil empire seeks to utilise the power of the Gygus of legend to take over the world. A simple base plot, but one that has other underlying narratives that stop it from being stale. You control Vice, roaming different towns and dungeons, flying through a vast overworld that opens up more to you as you upgrade your ship and make your way through the story. Battles take place via a method of storing spirit points that are shared amongst your party, and several actions take up certain amounts of spirit points. This stops you just unleashing Armageddon on your foes right at the start and allows for some strategy with defensive abilities as well as offensive and restorative ones.
Dance for me.
The real unique part of this game comes from the ship side of things. The ship combat takes on a turn-based nature also, with you having 4 rounds per turn where you plot out what you will do on each go using a grid system to determine whether certain actions will be more powerful or not, and then they play out, with the enemy rounds affecting your choices also. It makes for some intense battling and one that requires a lot of strategy against bosses, as you keep yourself alive, do damage and build up your spirit points ready to unleash your ultimate attacks at the right time to really take a chunk out of their health. It makes for a nice departure from the run-of-the-mill foot battles, and makes Skies of Arcadia stand out amongst its peers. Legends has some additional content, as I noted earlier. In the original game on Dreamcast were several discoveries that could be made in the overworld. These have been expanded to add more in Legends. There's an optional boss you can fight multiple times that ties in with narrative for antagonist Ramirez. The XP has been boosted and encounter rate lowered, as this was a criticism of the original game. A new bounty system with side bosses has been added. Plenty of new stuff. One thing that has been removed is the VMU side game, given that that's a bit unique to the Dreamcast, but the rewards from this have been distributed to the other new side quests, so you're not really missing out. Other than that, a slight graphical update, though this does cause some additional clipping, rounds out what is actually a very good release. However, if you're not fussed on the content and prefer to have a better sounding game, then marching right on back to the DC original is probably your best port of call. All round though, Skies of Arcadia Legends is a fine game and worth adding to your collection to play. Sonic Heroes, how I have mixed feelings towards you. After a few ports of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Sonic Heroes was Sonic Team's first brand new Sonic game in a while. This 3D action title has you pick one of 4 teams, each made up of 3 characters with the archetypes of speed, power and flying, and make your way through several very large stages with branching points based on where you go and which character type you're using at that point. It leads to a game with a lot of replayability, but the main problem here is this game is so incredibly glitchy. The amount of frustration I felt in the day as I fell off something yet again because the camera wanted to follow something else, or I pirouetted off the end of a grind point for some reason because it's boosted me one time but not another, causing me to fall to completely miss the mark. Oh, so annoying. The stage obstacles aren't the problem in this game, it's the stages themselves that are.
Look at all the huge turtles. Swimming like that looks fun.
I want to try doggy and go fishing.
It's not all bad though. There's some great locations here with nice tunes to bop along to. The teams themselves are great, with Sonic's team made up of the usual trio of Sonic, Tails and Knuckles, Amy taking Big and Cream out for the easy mode team, Team Dark being made up of Shadow, Rouge and Omega, who's a new character taking over from E102 Gamma in Sonic Adventure, as they have a similar look. But perhaps more importantly is the very long-awaited return of Vector, Espio and Charmy, making up Team Chaotix, semi-retconned as a detective agency in the modern Sonic era. The more nostalgia-driven among you will wonder why Marty the Armadillo isn't here, but 2 things answer that. 1, the teams are made of 3, so it just wouldn't work. And 2, in the original Japanese Chaotix, Mighty isn't part of the crew, like Knuckles, but merely just happened to be there. A shame, therefore, that Sonic Team couldn't extend an additional team, including Mighty and Ray, but oh well.
Wow! We're flying way high!
They're not slow.
Come on, this is nothing! Let's keep moving!
The usual modern Sonic accompaniments are here. Play as all 4 teams to completion to unlock the final episode where the story, as simple as it is wrapped up with the real antagonist and one big final boss fight ensues. Sonic Heroes isn't a bad game, it just needed a lot more quality testing. What makes it worse is that the GameCube version is considered the better port of all the consoles. If I had this many issues with the GameCube port, I don't think I even want to try the Xbox or PS2 versions. A nice take on the Sonic formula that could have been a great game but ends up just being good. Sonic Heroes is probably due a modern remake with some additional quality of life features, but stands as a product of Sonic at the time and is definitely worth a punt, even if it's not the best Sonic game by any stretch of the imagination.
You won't be able to escape from the mysterious castle as long as the red torches are burning. Extinguish all
Here we go. Thank you.
Let's go. Yep.
This is it then, the grand finale, the big cheese, the numero uno, the big boy, the one Sega game you must buy if you own a GameCube. I am of course talking about the one and only Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2. Now this game is also available for the original Xbox in this particular form, though an enhanced version would release for the GameCube later on, known as Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 Plus, though it would only come out in Japan and the US, and this carried some of the online content in its offline portion. Phantasy Star Online is, for the uninitiated, Sega's second attempt at a console mass multiplayer online RPG after Dragon's Dream on the Sega Saturn. It first appeared on the Dreamcast, where it was an utterly fantastic game and received an updated form later in Phantasy Star Online V2, or version 2, which doubled the level from 100 to 200, added ultimate difficulty, and a whole host of model changes for weapons and enemies. Fast forward a couple of years to late 2002, and a new updated version of the game was due to arrive. So what is Phantasy Star Online? To put it simply, only the greatest hack and slash sci-fi multiplayer online game you will ever play. The simplicity of its gameplay loop, coupled with its very easy to pick up mechanics and unique features it brought in for its day, make for a very complete package. Wrapped up in a fun sci-fi plot with a great cast, not too bogged down in text, and some lovely visuals, adds the bow to a great present. You create your character amidst a mass migration from a dying planet, starting your journey after orbiting the target planet, when disaster strikes and the people on the ship that journeyed ahead of you are nowhere to be found. Your job as a hunter is to scour the planet, looking for clues and fighting enemies to solve the mystery through 4 entire zones with a giant boss at the end, whether alone or with others, among 11 different character classes in 3 overarching types: Hunter, Ranger and Force. And therein lies the beauty of this game. For its day, it had so much to do, so much to discover, and so many fun times to have with friends. So I may have mentioned playing together, and you may have noticed the word online in the title of the game. Well, yes, at the time it was playable both offline and online, with online allowing you to attend different ships, which acted as servers for you to hang out with friends in a lobby area, doing silly things like playing football, electric chair racing, or just chewing the fat before heading out to Pioneer 2, the main ship of the actual game, with up to 4 other people and going to an area to have fun or taking on a quest. There are multiple online-only quests, and online increased drop rates and boosted XP gain to make it more enticing. But PSO was no slouch in offline mode either, with plenty of story quests, both with and without NPC assisters, all the locations, and in this version onwards, split-screen offline multiplayer and challenge mode. There's even fan servers nowadays and methods to get your version back online now on the different consoles. What a time to be alive. So apart from the couple of aforementioned things, what exactly is so special about Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 on the GameCube and Xbox? Well, the original game had 4 stages: forest, caves, mines and ruins, with a boss at the end of each. 100 levels of that is all fine, but a reskin of all 4 with new enemies for another 100 levels might get a little bit stale. I mean, it didn't, but it could do. Thankfully, Episode 1 and 2 is here to add 4 brand new stages, 2 taken from the online battle mode and 2 brand new ones, which vary up the game massively, with new enemy types and an absolute whole host of new equipment to look out for. The added stages are Temple, massively expanded from battle mode, with a slightly reorchestrated version of its theme, and a cool new boss that takes after Derola from the caves with a twist. The spaceship, also updated in the same manner, with an interesting twist on the forest dragon boss awaiting at the end. The game then takes on brand new stages, with the central control area split into the jungle, mountain, seaside and CCA itself. The first 3 must be navigated, with mini-boss enemies in them, to unlock the CCA. You then proceed through there to reach the actual boss, a gigantic griffin wielding the power of thunder and the wind. There are in fact a further 2 stages, but one of them was online only, added later, and is offline only in the Plus version, the Tower, which is full of mini-boss enemies and has an interesting computer boss at the end. However, standard game offline only players will miss this stage and proceed to the seabed, an underwater laboratory that spirals downwards in a flooded maze full of dangerous D-cell infused enemies. At the end, the ginormous Olga Flow awaits to test the last of your metal before the game ends. These new areas, coupled with 3 new character classes, expand the game exponentially and stop it from getting quite as repetitive as you level up to 200 across the 4 difficulties. So there you go. I had to curb my enthusiasm somewhat, as I could probably do a 2-hour-long video on Phantasy Star Online alone, but maybe that's for a future video. I couldn't recommend this game enough, especially on the GameCube. Even if you only get to play it offline, it needs to be experienced. If you get it online, you can enjoy the delights of beat time, early chat emotion windows, and of course the delights of chair racing before you even get to the game itself. Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 is a game you need to experience in your life. So there we go, 6 more for your roster, 6 more Sega games for the incredible GameCube. Look out for part 4 in the future, and I hope you've enjoyed going through some more games made by the incredible Sega. The next set of games will probably be more exclusive style, ones that you can't get in all regions, but look out for it, and I'll see you in the next video.